couple minutes, maybe 30 seconds. Good morning and welcome to the Colorado football signing date. This is Coach Tucker's first full cycle recruiting class, and I'm excited to be a part of it. When I hired Mel, we shared a vision of what Colorado football will become, and today is an important step in the process to compete for and win championships on a consistent basis. Many of you know that I was a recruiting coordinator back in the 80s for Coach Bill McCartney. We opened up some pipelines in recruiting areas like California, Texas, here in Colorado. We need to recruit nationally. You'll see some of those same characteristics in this class today. You'll also see some of our former greats sharing their excitement as part of this broadcast, including Daniel Graham, Mackey Award winner, who will kick things off by announcing our first signee.
What's up, Buck Nation? This is Daniel Graham. I'm so excited for the 2020 recruiting class. Let's get it started with Caleb Fourier, tight end out of Bishop Fenn, Attleboro, Massachusetts. Christian, Caleb's dad, was one of CU's greatest tight ends. Caleb, can't wait for you to put on that black and gold. And your dad can't wait for you to break all my records. Go Buffs.
Third down and short. Shotgun snap, quarterback dropping, throws in the crossing pattern, caught by Caleb Fourier. He turns upfield, and the big man's on his way. 25, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown. On first down, there's a handoff. Running back breaks off to the left, gets a great block that time by Caleb Fourier and run out of bounds across. On first down and 10. Shotgun snap. Quarterback's got all kinds of time. Steps to his left, rears back, rifles it down the sideline, and a great catch for a first down by Caleb Fourier. Shotgun snap to the quarterback, drops, throws it over the middle, and a first down catch by Caleb Fourier. Left-hand side, shotgun snap, quarterback looking his way, catch of the 5 by Fourier, turns, and he stiff-arms the defender into the end zone. Well, good morning, Buff Nation, and welcome to the Champions Center here at the University of Colorado. What an exciting day. Signing day 2019. Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. We just met our first signee of 2019 from Mel Tucker and his staff. He's a tight end and a legacy Buff. His father was a phenomenal Buffalo, and we expect the same thing from Caleb Fourier, who joins us right now from Massachusetts. Caleb, congratulations. You got to be very excited right now. And by the way, we're loving the hat already right off the top. That's outstanding.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, how does this feel today, becoming a Colorado Buffalo? Give us your thoughts.
It feels awesome. It's been a dream of mine since I was a little kid, and for it to finally happen today, it just feels amazing.
Well, we mentioned your father, of course, Daniel Graham mentioned your dad. He was a big part, of course, of Colorado history. What role did he play? Was there any pressure on you from him to become a Buffalo, or did you just leave this up to you and say, well, if you want, I'd like that an awful lot, but it's totally up to you? How did it unfold?
Yeah, so both my parents went to Colorado, and there was no pressure at all. They just said, go where your heart, leads you. And for me, my heart led me to Boulder, and I loved everything about it. So I decided to commit and then ultimately sign with Colorado. So I'm excited.
I'd have to imagine you were here in Boulder quite a bit over the course of your life with your parents both being Buffs. Was that the case?
No, my first time out was on my unofficial, and
wow.
Then my second was my official. So I just loved everything about it.
What was it about Mel Tucker and this staff that led you to want to be a Buffalo?
Just the way that he's going to bring that program on the rise. I just have faith in him, and I trust what he's doing with that program, and I want to be a part of it and help bring that program back where it was in the early 90s.
So it was a pretty easy decision, I'd imagine, for you then, was it?
Yeah, very easy.
Yeah. Well, as you watched the Buffaloes this past season, and you watched what they were doing with the tight end, did you like what you saw?
Yeah, I liked what I saw. Caught some touchdown passes, blocked good. So I'm excited for my future, and I can see myself playing, doing big things in that offense.
What do you think your strength is as a tight end? I mean, they talk about receiving tight ends and blocking tight ends. What's your strength, do you think?
Probably receiving, catching the ball. Obviously I need to work on that more, and obviously coaches are going to help me there. But right now I think my biggest strength is my receiving, catching the ball.
All right. Well, congratulations. Welcome to the Buff family. We can't wait till you get here and you put on the black and gold.
Thank you.
All right, there's your first signee of 2019, Caleb Fourier, tight end out of Massachusetts. Right now, back to the podium. We've got the head coach, Mel Tucker. Tyson Summers, I beg your pardon, is up at the podium right now.
Hello there. I'm Tyson Summers, the defensive coordinator here at the University of Colorado. Really excited today to be able to announce our first signee of the morning. It is Alvin Williams, an outside linebacker from Ellenwood, Georgia, two-time state champion in the state of Georgia. Really wanted to be able to say when we went through the signing class at the end of the year, we wanted to make sure that we were able to find guys that could rush the passer. Felt like he was one of the top players in the state of Georgia, and really excited about having Alvin Williams become a Buff.
Snap, quarterback holds it down, looking to throw, and he's hit by Elvin Williams. Ball pops loose, and it's recovered. Shotgun snap, inside shovel passing, getting there before the ball was Elvin Williams. What a play. Shotgun snap, dropping to throw, now pressured, switching out to his left, and Elvin Williams grabs it with Saxon inside the 50-yard line. Shotgun snap, dropping to throw, and like a missile, here comes Alvin Williams to break down the quarterback. Out of the pistol, here's his snap, handoff, and Alvin Williams was right there to break down the ball, carry for a loss of yards. All right, there's the next signee for the Colorado Buffaloes, Alvin Williams. He is a linebacker coming to us out of Georgia from Cedar Grove High School. Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Neil Welk of CUBuffs.com joining us. Neil, obviously excited about Caleb Fourier, whom we just talked to a moment ago. You knew his dad pretty well.
Yeah, I did. I covered his dad when he was here. It was a lot of fun. You know, that was a long line of great tight ends, and Christian went on a great career in the NFL, and obviously a good addition here with his son coming here.
Alvin Williams, 6'3", 230 pounds. Boy, he certainly looks the part, doesn't he?
He does, and that's, you know, in this day and age, you want that outside rush ability to come off the edge like that. And with that kind of size, 6'3", 230, he's got good speed, and that's a place that they'll be able to put him to work right away.
Think about the resume that he brings here to Colorado out of Cedar Grove. They went 53-5 in his 4 seasons and won 3 straight state championships. As Mel Tucker builds this program, he's looking for guys that come in and know about success. It's a pretty good resume.
Yeah, and that's what you want. You want a guy that's used to winning and that knows what it means to win, knows what it takes, has that work ethic and the discipline, and fits right into that Mel Tucker mold.
And he is planning on graduating early from high school, by the way. And this is becoming more and more common, I think, in college athletics. You've seen this quite a bit with football players. They come in after their senior year, wrapping it up after the first semester, and coming in and joining their college program. The extra experience in terms of being out there for spring ball and getting an early jump on learning the system.
And that's a big part. That's another big part of Mel Tucker and Coach Tyson Summers' approach is developmental football. And if they have them for a spring, then they have them for the summer conditioning, then they have them for fall camp. Those guys are much more ready to play by the time fall rolls around. And so that's why you're seeing more and more freshmen play and contribute right away.
I understand we got Elvin Williams with us on FaceTime right now. Elvin, congratulations. Welcome to the Colorado Buffaloes family. You got to be excited today. Well, it looked like we just dropped, in fact, Elvin. Had him on there momentarily, but we'll see if we can reconnect with him here in just a couple of minutes.
Just got another sack.
Yeah, okay, here, Elvin's back. Elvin, congratulations. You got to be excited today. Elvin, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, congrats. So it looks like you're driving right now. Be careful.
I'm not driving right now.
Okay, you're in the back. Okay, there's Mom. We thank goodness Mom's driving, so you're safe doing this. Well, congratulations. What does this mean today to sign with the Colorado Buffaloes?
It's a great feeling. I've been dreaming about this moment for my whole life. I'm just glad Coach Mel Tuck, Coach B. Mike is giving me this opportunity.
Yeah. Tell us about your impression of this coaching staff. What drew you about this group of guys, Mel Tucker, Coach Mike, and the guys that eventually led you to signing?
They showed me that they actually really want me coming in the summer. I thought it was going to be like every other visit, come show me a couple of clips, show me how I can fit in. But they actually took time out their day. They looked into my film. They pulled out plays. They showed me how I could work in their system. They showed me that they really, really want me. And it was just a great place to be.
I love the fact that we were talking about your resume in high school, 53-5 in 4 seasons with 3 state championships. All you know is how to win, man. You got to bring that attitude here to Boulder.
Yes, sir. Only thing I know is how to win. Me in the 2020 class, we love winning. We're just trying to bring that winning culture to Colorado.
So you're going to graduate early, correct, and be here for the spring semester, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And that gives you a great jump on learning the system then going through spring bowl, doesn't it?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, hey, tell your mom congratulations. We appreciate you. There she is. Congratulations, Mom. Alvin, congratulations. We can't wait till you get here to Colorado.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
All right, there he is, the new outside linebacker for the Colorado Buffaloes, Elvin Williams out of Georgia. Your second signee here on signing day 2019. Up to the podium we go. And offensive line coach, Coach Kabilovic, is up there right now.
Great day today. Great day for CU and the Juice Squad. I'd like to welcome Jake Ray, state champion, 6'5", 315 pounds, Juice.
Here's a handoff. Jake Ray opens up a hole. The ball carrier's able to slip through and run inside the 45-yard line. Another running play. Cuts inside the 35. Gets a block by Jake Ray up the middle. Another running play. Cuts inside the 35. Gets a block by Jake Ray up the middle. Shotgun snap. Passing play. Steps up in the pocket. Now plays to his left along the goal line. And look at the blocking by Jake Ray to allow the quarterback to get rid of the ball. Inside the 10-yard line. There's a pitch and a sweep to the left. Look at the block downfield by Jake Ray. End zone touchdown. Well, it was one of the things when Mel Tucker got here, we heard him talk about early and often, and that's bringing in big bodies. And look at the size of this guy. Jake Ray, 6'5", 310 pounds, out of Marietta, Georgia. Back your voice to the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Neil Welcome, CUBuffs.com. Big body, what the Buffaloes need.
Size.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mel Tucker came here, and when he came here a year ago, and he said he wanted to increase the size, increase the power up front. Games are won in the trenches, offensive line, defensive line, and he's bringing in a guy in here, 6'5", 310. I think you just saw in the highlight videos what kind of footwork that guy already has.
Yeah.
Gave him some time with Coach Cap to get that technique going and all those kind of things, and I think that's a guy that will be a force here for quite a while.
I think back to a number of years ago, the Buffs' great Victor Rogers, who played for Gary Barnett in the 2001 Big 12 championship team. He and I were talking and looking at some of the recruits years ago that were coming in, and they were a little bit undersized. And Vic said, we don't want to bring guys in that grow into the position. We want guys. Vic said we were all 6'5", 300 pounds when that 01 offensive line got in here, and that's the kind of athletes that Mel's bringing in.
Yeah, and that's what you want. You want guys that you can refine, guys that have the size when they get here, guys that have the footwork, guys that are ready to learn that technique. And you can't coach size.
Yeah, that's right.
You can't coach it. It's got to be there, and he's got all the intangibles right there. He's got all the measurables and the intangibles.
You bring the big body in here, then let Coach Wilson down that weight room, kind of shore him up a little bit. 4-star prospect from ESPN helped the Marietta Blue Devils to a 13-2 record just this past weekend. You're going to see this quite a bit, in fact, as we continue throughout the day. Won the Georgia 7A state championship just this past weekend. Good to see a big body coming in for Mel Tucker here in the early signing day of 2019. Jake Ray, offensive lineman out of Georgia. Back to the podium we go, and Coach Summers standing by.
Okay. The other thing we tried to identify when we went through this defensive recruiting class was trying to identify secondary guys with length and guys with range. We think we found that in Jalen Stryker. Jalen comes to us from Independence Community College. He is 6'2", 195 pounds, fantastic player for Independence, and grew up originally in Tampa, Florida. Really excited about being able to have him be a Buff and him getting ready to get going here in January.
Shotgun snap, quarterback looks right, throws right, and it's intercepted by Jalen Stryker. What a play. Snap, quarterback drops, looking down the right side, going to throw it out there, and it's knocked away by Jalen Stryker. Shotgun snap, quarterback dropping down the right side, and another great defensive play by Jalen Stryker. Shotgun snap, quick throw to the motion man, and it's blown up that top by Jalen Stryker. Shotgun snap, looking down the right side. They're going to go for the fade, and it is knocked away by Jalen Stryker. Well, a good-looking, big, wide right quarterback, I should say, out of Tampa, Florida. Jalen Stryker, 6'3". They list him 205 pounds. Length, speed, and physicality.
Yeah, and the thing you look at is he's a JC transfer, played last year, had a redshirt year at Independence, so he's got 3 years to play three here, and that's a great deal there coming out. And again, like you said, length. And in this day and age, when you're going to play a lot of man coverage, play a lot of press coverage, you want a guy that can get out there, knock the ball down, get up, high point the ball, and battle those big receivers that you know they're going to see.
That's
so
right.
this is a guy here that I think comes in, steps in, and has a chance to play right away.
One of the top 20 corners out of the junior college ranks throughout the nation, comes in to become a Colorado Buffalo, and certainly an area of need. That became an awful thin position for the Buffaloes as the season progressed.
Oh yeah, they were. I thought they were going to suit you up there down the stretch there, and you just didn't have quite the speed there for him. But
not even close.
no, and that'll certainly it helps the depth right away. But he's a guy that I think comes in and can help them right away and challenge for some playing time.
I think too. I always look at the raw material. Okay, we always find out when these kids get here then what they are. The coaching staff's done a great job evaluating them, but the raw size for him, 6'2", 6'3", and you think back to recent years, Cheeto Awuzie, Isaiah Oliver, Akella Witherspoon, all big, long corners. And that's becoming, the way things are in college football, and especially in the Pac-12 conference, you need that.
Yeah, you have to have that length. You have to have a guy that can go up and battle those big receivers that they're going to see, especially in the Pac-12. And so when he's playing that coverage out there, you love that length because he can get his arm up there, knock down some passes, and a dependable guy out there. The other thing I like about these guys we've just talked about so far, Mark, this is a national recruiting class. They're bringing in guys from Georgia. This guy's from Tampa via Independence, CC. We got a guy from Massachusetts. We're going to see a lot more guys from Texas, California, Colorado. But what Mel Tucker has done is sent out a statement that Colorado is going to be nationally relevant when it comes to recruiting.
Yep, Mel said here when he got here that there's nowhere they would not go to recruit. And we just heard Rick George off the top here talking about reopening some of those recruiting avenues that they had under Bill McCartney that made Colorado a national power. So cornerback Jalen Stryker out of the junior college ranks. He's a big body. Back to the podium we go. And it's good to have former Buff Matt McChesney to make the next announcement.
Coming to you from the Champions Center here at the University of Colorado, I'm very proud to announce Carson Lee, a 6'3", 320-pound offensive lineman from Cherry Creek High School, a kid that I've been working with for a very long time. Damn proud of him. Carson Lee, Cherry Creek High School. That's how it's done.
Shotgun snap, screen pass, left-hand side, caught down the sideline, and he's got a convoy, and Carson Lee just blew up a couple of players out there. Hand off running back, and a big hole on the right side, open up by Carson Lee. Another running play, and a big hole open up by Carson Lee as he pulled to the right side. Another handoff, bounces it to the right side, but check out the pancake block by Carson Lee on the backside. Check out the pancake block by Carson Lee. Well, just last week, he won a state championship with Cherry Creek in the highest division in the university or in the state of Colorado. And now he's a Colorado Buffalo. And if you've been following social media, by the way, this guy has been a recruiter as well. Carson Lee joining us from Cherry Creek. Carson, congratulations. Now, we all knew this day was coming, and you've been here many times. I've had a chance to talk with you a number of times. But how's it feel on this day when it becomes official? You're now a Buffalo.
Yeah, like I've said before in interviews, I've been committed for nearly 10 months now, so it's felt like I've been a part of the family for forever. So just being able to finally make it official and say that I'm officially a Buff is huge, and it's a day I'll never forget.
Yeah, 6'3", 315 pounds. What kind of player is Carson Lee that's coming to become a Buffalo?
I think I'm a guy that brings intensity and winning mentality, and a guy that's going to give 100% on everything that he does, and I'm excited to show Buff Nation that.
I know that Coach Cap recruited you, Coach Mel Tucker. Tell me about your relationship with those guys.
Yeah, the relationship with them has just continued to build over the last 10 months, but I think just sitting down with them really the first time in February, the day I committed, I was really able to see the vision and the true, genuine guys that they are, and I think that's the reason why I wanted to commit so early and make it official.
You just finished an undefeated senior season at Cherry Creek with a championship. That's kind of a family trait in your family, isn't it?
Yeah, Grandpa did it in 1968, went undefeated in one state championship his senior year. Dad did it in 1988, went undefeated in one state championship his senior year. So I'm a third generation undefeated state champion my senior year, so it's pretty special.
I mentioned the fact you've kind of been a recruiter with a lot of the recruits in this class. You kind of took that role seriously, didn't you? Wanting to kind of build this class here for Mel Tucker.
Yeah, I took huge pride in it. Just being able to be a guy that other kids, I'm their age, they're able to hear from me what I saw and the reason why I chose CU, and just trying to persuade them to come play with me up in Boulder and bring a Pac-12 championship and hopefully a national championship to CU in the coming years.
We mentioned this with a number of the guys so far. You're also going to be one of those guys who graduates early to be here in the spring, aren't you? And you wanted to get a jump on this?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I just want to be up there as soon as I can to put the work in and hopefully earn a spot.
All right. Hey, congratulations. Hey, fans want to follow you on Twitter. Give us your handle.
At Carson Lee 75.
All right. Congratulations. Can't wait to get you on campus.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
All right. Carson Lee, the latest signee by the Colorado Buffaloes, and Mel Tucker here in this early signing period 2019 as we continue from the Champion Center. It's signing day 2019. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back and continue as we build another class for Colorado. Yep. Welcome back to the Champion Center here at the University of Colorado. I'm voice of the bus, Mark Johnson. It's our signing day coverage here online, both on Facebook and on Twitter, as we continue to build the 2019 recruiting class for Mel Tucker and the Colorado Buffaloes. Let's find out who the next one is. To the podium we go, and offensive coordinator Jay Johnson.
Thank you, Mark. It's my pleasure to introduce our next signee, coming in at 5'11", 170 pounds, from Jacksonville High School in Jacksonville, Texas, wide receiver Chris Carpenter.
Fourth down and 9 out of the pistol formation. Snap to the quarterback, drops back, rifles it left side, reaching up. Chris Carpenter, he's got the grab. 35-30, 25-20, 10-5 touchdown. Carpenter lined up wide to the left. Low snap to the quarterback. Pulls it up the shoot top. Throws it over the middle. Grabbed by Carpenter. Running across the 50. Steps out of a tackle. And he's on his way to the end zone. 20-15, 10-5 touchdown. Chris Carpenter lined up wide to the boundary side right. Shotgun snap. Quarterback drops. Going for the home run. Throws it downfield. And Carpenter outleaps the defensive back for a first down. Carpenter lined up boundary side right. Shotgun snap. Throws it to the right-hand side on a receiver screen. Caught by Chris Carpenter. Runs into traffic. He keeps his legs turning. Pops out of the pile on his way to the end zone. When you take a look at the highlights for Chris Carpenter, you think of versatility. There's a wide receiver. Really did a number of things for his high school there in Jacksonville, Texas. Neil, they list him at 5'11", 6 foot, somewhere in that range, but very athletic the way it looks.
Very athletic, got great speed, ability to go up high and get the ball, goes up in traffic, has good moves. Just another guy that will come in here and, make that wide receiver core deeper right away.
Neil and I were talking to Coach Chev here. He's going to be obviously coaching these receivers a while ago. We talked about some of the numbers. Look at this. 97 career receptions, nearly 1,500 yards, 9 touchdowns, 43 carries, 323. Very versatile again. Big numbers coming out of high school, a lot of wins, and it looks like he could fit into a very multiple offense for the Buffaloes.
Yeah, it is, and that's very important in this offense that Coach Johnson runs, is being able to do a lot of different things, line up at a couple different positions. We saw what they did with Laviska Shenault last year, running him from a lot of different places. This is a guy that might be able to come in and do the same type of thing. And what I really like about this kid, again, is just his athleticism. And, hey, that's that Texas pipeline opening up again.
Oh, boy, there's no doubt about that. We know how important that was for the Colorado Buffaloes many, many years ago. Also, he says he wants to go into coaching. That would indicate a guy that loves the game of football, and we know how important that is.
Yeah, and he's a guy that when they want to go into coaching, he likes the game. He likes to study the game. He likes to play the game, likes to be around it. And again, this is a guy that's going to come in and I think, add to that depth at wide receiver right away.
So he is a wide receiver, 6 foot, roughly 170, 75 pounds, out of Jacksonville, Texas. So that Lone Star pipeline opening up again for the Colorado Buffaloes as we continue to build this 2019 class on this early signing period here at the Champion Center. We continue. Let's go back up to the podium and Coach Blaine Miller.
Thank you, Mark. Our next signee coming in at 6'2", 230 pounds, an outside linebacker from Antonio College Prep in San Antonio, Texas. I'd like to announce Devin Grant, and to give a congratulatory response, I'd like to introduce San Antonio Spurs, Derek White.
What's up, man? This is Derek White from the San Antonio Spurs. I was here to congratulate Devin Grant out of Antonio College Prep on signing with the Buffs. I wish you the best of luck in your time here in Boulder. Let's go Buffs.
Out of the pistol formation, snap, quarterback takes the handoff, turns, and Devin Grant from behind sacks it back to the 20-yard line. Devin Grant lined up wide to the left. That's the boundary side of the formation. Shotgun snap, quarterback throws left side, caught by Grant. He gets hit, steps out of a tackle at the 20, and he's on his way. 10-5 touchdown. Out of the pistol formation, snap, quarterback dropping, looking to his left the entire time. Now here comes pressure, and it's Devin Grant. He pulls him down back at the 40-yard line. Shotgun snap, quarterback looks like he's going to run, but he's grabbed by Devin Grant and twisted down at the 28-yard line. Well, there's your next Colorado Buffalo, Devin Grant, 6'3", 230 pound, outside linebacker from San Antonio. And I believe we've got Devin joining us on FaceTime right now. Oh, we didn't get him hooked up, is that correct? All right. We'll see if we can take care of that behind the scenes here and get back on script. But right now we bring back in Neil Welk of CUBuffs.com. 6'3", 230 pound, outside linebacker from San Antonio. Another Texas guy.
Another Texas guy. How cool is that with Derek White stepping in there?
Yeah, it's kind of neat.
That's kind of neat. I like that. Yeah, outside linebacker. Look at that. 6'3", 230. He's got good speed. Comes off the edge. Can make plays. See, one of those guys that's a disruptor, Mark.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just going to disrupt an offense. He's going to make plays on the quarterback. He's going to play the run. He's going to be, go sideline to sideline, and that's what they want, especially out of that outside linebacker, be able to do all those things.
Top 100 player from the state of Texas, number 32 defensive end nationally by Rivals. Boy, how many times during the season Did Coach Barnett and I talk about the broadcast about the Buffs having a tough time holding the edge? One of those kind of players coming to help in that regard.
Yeah, and again, 6'3", 230. He's got 12 sacks, 21 quarterback hurries, had 76 tackles. Oh, that's just as a senior.
That's
18,
right.
18 tackles for loss. That's a guy that will make those plays, that will make life tough on an opposing quarterback because you don't quite know where he's coming from. And I think we saw that from Coach Summers this year, sneaking that guy in and out and coming from a lot of different directions.
I've always liked the multi-sport athletes as well. This is a guy, speaking to Devin Grant, a little over 11 points, 10 rebounds per ball game, helping his high school team win the state championship. And it says here he wants to be a forensic scientist. He's way too smart to be a football player, isn't he? Holy cow.
I can't even spell forensic scientist.
Good stuff. Devin Grant, though, your next Colorado Buffalo, who is now in Mel Tucker's 2019 signing class. Back to the podium we go as we continue to build the class here on Signing Day 2019. Here's Jack Harris.
Good morning, Buff Nation. I'm extremely excited to announce our newest signee. He's coming in at 6'9", 340 pounds from Davis Senior High School in Davis, California. Offensive lineman who we all know here is Tank, and the newest addition to the Juice Squad, probably one of the biggest men in Northern California, Jared Christian Lichtenhand. And with a special congratulations, it's my pleasure to introduce my good friend, former Buff offensive lineman, and who just yesterday was announced to the second Pro Bowl, David Bakhtiari.
What's up, Buff Nation? It's David Bakhtiari, left tackle with the Green Bay Packers. I want to give a special shout out to Jared Lichtenhand for committing to the University of Colorado. What a great honor. Out of way to represent Northern California. And as always, go Buffs.
Shotgun snap, hand up to the running back, runs to the right, but did you catch the block by Lichtenhand on the backside? Cuts back inside the defender and runs down the field behind a block by Jared Christian Lichtenhand about 10 yards downfield. Behind a block by Jared Christian Lichtenhand. Well, we said earlier with Carson Lee, a big body. Now we're really talking a big body. Are you kidding me? Jared Christian Lichtenhand, 6'8", 300 and Coach Cap?
Well, he's actually down to 320.
Oh, he's withering away then, you're telling us.
Yeah, he looks really small right now, yes.
Tell us about this guy. That's a monster human being.
He is a monster. You know, when we went out spring recruiting and I saw this person have to duck to come under a door and, you know, talking to his coach. His coach had done a heck of a job there, but he coached at the college level, and he really believed in him. And, you know, when we got video of him and saw one-on-ones, and then we saw him even – the one thing that really sold us is seeing him in the weight room, squatting and power cleaning and the bend, and he's just a big man. Like I said, he's actually leaned down 25 pounds. He looks great, and I'm excited to go to work with him.
I guess that's the first thing that I think about when I see that kind of size, 6'8", 320, 30, whatever it might be, is the feet and the mobility. They're good?
That was the most important thing to us is does he have the feet to do it, and does he have the ability to sink? And you see that in flashes on film, and like I said, it really sold us when we saw him in the weight room how well he could bend and some of the things he could do with his feet. So we're really excited about it.
His nickname is Tank, by the way, not surprisingly.
Tank.
Hey, being that we got you here, give us a quick comment about Carson Lee as well.
Really excited about Carson. You know, I was here, I think, 24 hours, and then him and his dad came to my office to sit down and meet me, and we had a great conversation, and from there it just kind of built great relationship. And you know, we were actually kind of surprised when he jumped in when he did, and he's kind of been a stalwart of this class, and he's just really worked hard to help build it. And seeing him win a championship and the pedigree he brings to us, I'm excited about it.
Outstanding. And then of course Jake Ray, we've announced him as well.
Jake Ray is outstanding, another state champion, you know, and he's a guy that once he jumped in, he's never wavered, and he's been strong, and he's been another guy that's really helped recruit the class. So those three guys I really believe in, and they've been solid from the get-go, and so I'm really excited about them.
Yeah, well, big bodies for the Colorado Buffaloes, and adding to what you have coming back, you feel good about heading into 2020 about your group?
I do feel good. You know, we still got a lot of work to do, and we got to develop some of these younger guys. We've seen some progress from some of the guys that are coming back, and what I told them is, you know, go have your break, make sure you're getting better during break, but I don't feel good about where we're at because we got to get better, because ultimately we didn't achieve our goals and we got to get there, so we're going to work hard this spring.
I like it. Congratulations on these three guys.
Thank you very much.
All right, Coach Kapilovic. And the offensive lineman, the latest is Jared Christian Lichtenhand, 6'8", 320 pounds. As we continue to build this class on Signing Day 2019, we'll take another quick break and come back and continue to feature the future Buffaloes as they come down today. Back at the Champion Center here in the 2019 early signing day for the University of Colorado. I'm voice of the bus, Mark Johnson. What a class that Mel Tucker and his staff are putting together. This would seem like a really good time to remind you. You can get your season tickets at 303-49 Buffs or cubuffs.com. And what a schedule we got coming up for the Buffaloes in 2020 as we continue to put together this 2019 recruiting class. Back up to the podium we go. And Coach Delman Gibson.
Our next signee is a guy that we think is a steal out of the South. Justin Jackson, a defensive lineman, 6'3", 285 pounds from Northwest Community College, originally from Olive Branch, Mississippi.
There's his snap, quarterback dropping it. He is steamrolled by Justin Jackson, who blew that play in. Under center, snap to the quarterback option right side, and Justin Jackson chased him down from behind. There's his snap, takes the inside handout, throws his screen to the near side, and chasing him down from behind is Justin Jackson. What a hustle play. Under center, snap, dropping to throw, and Justin Jackson gets in his face and makes him throw that one home. Shotgun snap, inside handoff, and Justin Jackson with a physical play brings down the ball carrier. Well, another defensive player from Mel Tucker and the University of Colorado, Justin Jackson, as he comes to the Buffaloes out of Olive Branch, Mississippi, by way of Northwest Mississippi Community College, 6'2", 280 pounds. You watch those highlights. It looks like a guy that can create some problems for offenses.
I think that quarterback is still hurting. There's a couple of those quarterbacks that wake up every morning after getting hit by that guy, and they're not feeling good. Love the way he comes in the middle. Love the way he plays the run, gets after the quarterback, another big guy that's going to come in here and make an impression right away.
Yeah, 280 pounds. He's a top 20 ranked defensive line prospect out of the junior college ranks. A guy that also is going to be coming in early, and that's becoming a very common thing in this class here so far.
Yeah, it's because, and I think they look at that and they try to encourage those kids to be able to, get their degree, come in early, graduate, do those kind of things, because that spring ball session is invaluable. When you can get 15 practices, plus get the weight training, conditioning, nutrition, all those things in line, Mark, in the spring, and then go into the summer, that's a huge step.
Here's what you feel good about. You watch that defense for Tyson Summers and the Buffaloes in 2019, and early on, they were giving up some yardage, giving up some points, but it got better as the year went on, and now you start adding guys like this. That's why I think you feel optimistic going into 2020.
Yeah, it is, and Coach Summers talked about it, as the season was going on, hey, we're making progress, and we saw it down the stretch. We saw it against Stanford. We saw it against Washington when guys started to, become comfortable with that. You get a guy in here like this, 6'2", 280, you saw that he can get after the quarterback. He's got good speed. He's got strength, and just looked really stout up on that defensive line. And so that's another guy that will give them some depth. And these guys like to play a lot of defensive linemen here. They'll play 6, 8, 9 guys on the D line, and I think that's an important part of it.
That's a young, exciting group going into 2020. It was youthful in 2019, and they continue to get better. So 5 sacks, you had 9 TFLs for that junior college team, and he's your newest Buffalo, Justin Jackson, as we continue to build the 2019 recruiting class for Mel Tucker here at the University of Colorado. Let's find out who the next one is. To the podium we go, and Coach Brian Cook.
Good morning. Thanks, Mark. I'm here to introduce our guest presenter for our next signee. I remember when this guy was coming out of Oak Grove High School in San Jose, and now he's the starting corner for the Dallas Cowboys, Chido Awuzie.
Hey, yo, what's up? It's your boy Chido Awuzie, the Dallas Cowboys. Wishing to congratulate Torrin Pittman out of Lone Star High School in Dallas, Texas. Go Buffs. It's going to be a great year. Have a great career there.
Shotgun snap, quarterback drops. He's going to throw this one to the end zone, and it is intercepted at the 1-yard line by Torrin Pittman. And he runs across the 10 to the far sideline, out of bounds to the 20. Shotgun snap, quarterback to throw, sets his feet, throws it over the middle, and it's intercepted by Torrin Pittman at the 45-yard line. Shotgun snap, a little low. Quarterback calls it in, drops to throw, cocks his arm. He's going to throw this one over the middle, and it is intercepted at the 25-yard line by Torrin Pittman. Shotgun snap, fakes the inside handoff, going to throw this one downfield, cocks his arm, rifles it, and Torrin Pittman is there to blow that play up. Boy, good looking highlights right there for the newest Buffalo, Torrin Pittman. He is a 6'4", 190-pound safety from Frisco, Texas. Those highlights were highlights, huh?
Those were highlights. I mean, you look down, and he's also a track guy. He ran track. He was a long jumper, triple jumper. You saw how high he could get up there and get after the ball. He's got good speed, and they need that on the back end of this defense here. They lost some guys there. There's not a lot of depth back there. He'll be a great addition right away, and he's got the bloodlines. His dad played some pro football, and actually, yes, I was old enough to have covered his dad when he played here for the Broncos.
And his grandfather, Drew Pearson, 3-time All-Pro for the Cowboys as well. You know, you're going to see. We already saw Caleb Fourier coming in. Bloodlines there. There's more to come with bloodlines, but that's quite a resume from a family perspective.
Yeah, that is. And again, this is a guy with great athleticism, and he's already got the size. They're going to be able to put a few pounds on him, but 6'4", 190, playing on the back end. That's a great size to have back there at your safety.
You love seeing on those highlights of the physicality he played with as well. He's going to need in the Pac-12.
Yes, exactly, and that's what you have to have out of the safety. I mean, he can cover. He showed what he can do back there. But he's also got to be able to play the run and kind of, be the guy that can, again, be a disruptor on the back end of that defense, and that's what you like to see.
So there's your latest Buffalo now. Torrin Pittman, the latest signee here in 2019, a 6'4" safety out of Frisco, Texas. Boy, this class is looking good right now as we continue our coverage here from the Champion Center, putting together this 2019 recruiting class for Mel Tucker. Back to the podium we go. Let's find out who the next one is. Coach Brian Michalowski is there.
Hey, I'm fired up. I feel like Roger Goodell up here a little bit, like NFL draft style. But like the reality is we don't get to draft players. They ultimately, in the recruiting process, find the right fit. This one I'm really excited about. This is a junior college transfer, outside linebacker. He's 6'3", he's 232 pounds. He ran the 100-meter in high school. He's extremely explosive. I'm fired up about this guy. His name is Guy Thomas. He's coming out of Coahoma Junior College in Mississippi. Go Buffs.
There's the shotgun snap looking to throw. Now flush that to his left and chased down from behind by Guy Thomas. And here comes Guy Thomas off the edge for the quarterback snap. Snap throwing to the right from the backside. Guy Thomas again with the pressure. Snap down to the goal line, looking, no one to throw to, runs out to the right-hand side, and Guy Thomas from behind chases him down and brings down the quarterback. Snap, quarterback looking with the screenplay, read beautifully by Guy Thomas, and he blows him away. Well, there's your latest to Colorado Buffalo outside linebacker Guy Thomas, 6'4", 240, out of Miami, Florida. Brian Michalowski joining us for a couple of minutes. All right, tell us a little bit more about this guy. You seemed excited about him.
Yeah, I'm really fired up about Guy. We've been able to build a great relationship throughout the process. Trust is really important to this, to him. We've built a great trust, and like the process in recruiting that leads to success when they get here. He's an extremely explosive guy. Like I said, he ran the 100 in high school in Miami, Florida,
as a linebacker.
So yeah. He's got speed, he's got athleticism, and he's going to help us get after the quarterback.
Tell us about the recruiting process with him. How tough was it?
It was tough, but it's really less about recruiting to me. It's about really building a great relationship. I think there's a difference. Like recruiting, you're trying to like sell and market. It's really not about that. It's just about building a real genuine relationship. So we've been able to do that. It's been a process. We've been consistent. That's how we got him.
I think you look at the raw material there, just in terms of the size, the speed. That's kind of attractive. But he projects the way you want them to project, if you will, moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anytime you get someone from the junior college level, they're going to be able to have a chance to have an immediate impact, and he certainly has that possibility.
We've made the comment on a number of these guys that they're going to be early enrollees. He's going to be one of those. Talk about the value of getting them here early and going through that spring practice session.
Yeah, I think like the reps are invaluable. It's all about getting good quality reps. So him getting here for spring ball and being able to do winter conditioning, being able to pick up the playbook is just going to give him that much of a head start. So we're excited to get him in mid-year for sure.
I asked Mel about this yesterday. Here it is, your first full cycle of recruiting, because you guys got here last year and had to jump into it kind of midstream. Was good reception for you guys when you went around the country and you were talking to different coaches and players?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a destination type place.
Sure.
When kids come out here and they see the Flatirons and they see Boulder and they see how beautiful it is, and then they sit and they're able to have a conversation with Mel Tucker and they see the genuineness of the entire staff.
Yeah.
And then when they turn on the tape and they see like the type of ball that we play and what we're trying to build here in terms of a brand, it's exciting.
I bet you can't wait to get started for 2020, can you?
Yeah, 2021 now. But 2020 is right around the corner.
Yeah.
We're gonna get after like 2021 class.
I was going to say, yeah, football is 2020, recruiting's 2021 right now.
Yeah,
That's
we're always like one step ahead.
I like it.
We have to be.
Brian, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right, Brian Michalowski, outside linebackers coach for the Colorado Buffaloes. As we had another one, Guy Thomas, outside linebacker for the Buffaloes. Let's go back to the podium now and find out who the next Buff is. Coach Hankton is standing by.
Thanks, Mark. Up next, we got a big receiver out of Texas, the Colony High School, 6'4", 209, big physical guy, Keith Miller.
Shotgun snap to the quarterback, glances down the left side, cocks his arm and fires, going for Keith Miller along the numbers, and in double coverage, he yanks it away from two defenders inside the 15. Here's a throw down the left side. Keith Miller is out there, and he makes the grab near the 50, and down the sideline he goes on his way to the end zone. There's the snap, quarterback dropping. They're setting up the screen, and the crossing pattern caught by Keith Miller. He cuts his way across the 50, cuts off to the right, and he's stopped right there. He steps out of a tackle now, and reverses and brings it back across the field. He's got blockers out in front of him, running at the 40-yard line, to the numbers to the near side, to the 30, to the 25-20, inside the 15, hit and run out of bounds. Snap, quarterback buying time off his back foot, rifles this one over the middle. It's caught at the 20-yard line by Keith Miller. Stiff arms the defender at the 15, out of the end zone, touchdown. Another big-bodied wide receiver for the Colorado Buffaloes as we continue here from the Champion Center. Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson, Neil Welk of CUBuffs.com joining us again. Keith Miller, 6'5", 210-pound wide receiver out of Addison, Texas, from the Colony High School. Great program down there. But look at the size of that guy.
I like that math so far. 6'5", 210, Texas.
Yep.
That sounds familiar. I like the way that sounds for those wide receivers. Great numbers. 106 receptions, 1,800 yards, 22 touchdowns over his career. You saw on those highlights, Mark, where he can go up and he can get the ball. He's got good speed. He can catch it on the run and keep moving. And so there's a lot of things there I like about that guy.
Again, the multi-sport athlete, not only a great football player, obviously, and Neil just went down the numbers here. Senior year, by the way, he was an all-district player, played basketball, ran track, and so another one of those guys that comes in with a lot of athleticism in different forms.
Yeah, and again, this is a guy, he was another guy that was, it was like Carson Lee, he was big on recruiting other recruits. He was very active on social media. He helped talk a lot of guys into coming up here, and I think that's, building that team camaraderie before he even got here is very important.
Yeah. If you're watching on social media, like if you're joining us today on Facebook and Twitter, you were following this guy on social media, and he was highly active, encouraging other athletes around the country to become Buffaloes. By the way, we talked about that bloodline as well. His cousin Mike Sherrod was a UCLA receiver, played 10 years in the National Football League. So Keith Miller, the newest Colorado Buffaloes, 6'5", 210, out of Addison, Texas, joining the Buffaloes. As we head back to the podium, let's find out who the next Buffalo is on signing day 2019, and Coach Travars Tillman is up there.
Good morning. CU, we've got a dude right here now. 6'1", 193-pound corner from the Colony High School in the Colony, Texas, Christian Gonzalez.
Shotgun snap to the quarterback, rolls out to his right, whips his one downfield, and intercepting the ball is Christian Gonzalez. He comes across the field, running to the far side at the 25-20. He's on his way to the end zone. 10-5 touchdown. Now it's Christian Gonzalez out of the Wildcat. Takes his snap, darts out to the right, goes back to his left. He's grabbed, breaks away from the defender, cuts off to his right on his way to the end zone. Touchdown. To the near side, he can throw, and he does down the sideline, and it's intercepted by Christian Gonzalez. There's a shotgun snap, dropping the throw, sets the feet, rifles it downfield over the middle, and Christian Gonzalez is there to knock it down, incomplete. Well, another long, athletic cornerback for the Colorado Buffaloes, Christian Gonzalez, 6'1", 195. Teammate there, by the way, out of the Colony, Texas. Another big-time program, 4-star player, top 50 out of the state of Texas. There's that national recruiting we talked about earlier with Mel Tucker.
Yeah, that Texas pipeline, getting teammates out of Texas, that should sound familiar as well, getting a couple guys that played together. What I like about this guy, Mark, is he's played both sides of the ball. And when you get a corner that has played wide receiver, he knows what they're thinking. Yeah. He knows what they're doing. He knows how they're going to break out of their routes. And so that gives him a little bit of extra there. Great track guy, ran 21.6 in the 200, had a lot of tackles, 17 pass breakups, 3 interceptions. Just a great athlete who, again, comes in at a place where they need some depth, comes in, and, he's going to get a chance to play right away.
Winning, and winning. In fact, the Colony went to 17-5 the last 2 seasons, went 12-2 within the division down there in Texas high school football. So another big-time athlete who comes from a big-time program and joins the Colorado Buffaloes here in 2019. We're going to talk, in fact, FaceTime with Christian Gonzalez here momentarily. Right now, we'll take a quick break, and we'll continue our 2019 signing day coverage here at the Champion Center in just a moment. Back once again on our 2019 early signing period coverage here at the Champion Center. Voice of the Bus, Mark Johnson. We just talked about these two teammates, Keith Miller and Christian Gonzalez from the Colony, Texas, and they join us on FaceTime right now. You guys did a great job lining that camera up. You look good. Congratulations, fellas. How do you feel about this?
It's a blessing. Not many kids get this opportunity, so it's really a blessing.
All right. Christian, we'll start with you. Give us your thoughts on becoming a Colorado Buffalo. What attracted you to this program?
It's just all the coaching, Coach Tucker, and being up there, I felt like this is where I need to be, the only place I want to be.
Keith, you were a guy, we just talked about this a moment ago, that on social media, you were like the recruiting coordinator out there trying to get guys to join this class. That's really a leadership role for you, and you wanted to kind of make this thing a special 2019 signing period, didn't you?
Yes, sir. Well, I know Coach Tucker's going to change the program around, so I just wanted to find the best guys who was going to help him change. So I just started going out and recruiting.
Christian, tell us about what kind of player the Buffaloes are getting in yourself.
I see myself as just a very versatile player, play both ways, anywhere in the secondary, on the offense, just wherever they need to use me.
All right. Keith, how about you? What kind of receiver are the Buffaloes getting in Keith Miller?
A receiver that's most likely going to catch everything. You know, if the ball's in the air, wherever the ball is, 88 in the ball, I'm coming down with it.
All right. And you guys come from a great program, don't you? I mean, you guys have learned about playing at the highest level, what it means to pursue excellence and win championships. You've learned that at the Colony, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
Give us your Twitter handles, by the way. I want to make sure people can connect with you guys and follow you on social media before you get here to become a Buffalo.
My Twitter is Keith Miller III, 3 guys.
All right. Christian?
Chris Gonzo, 28.
Guys, congratulations. It's a big day for both of you. Can't wait to see you here in Boulder, Colorado. There they are, Keith Miller and Christian Gonzalez out of the Colony High School. You can hear the applause in the background. There's a big studio audience here, by the way, at the Champion Center. We're going to continue building this great class here at the University of Colorado. Up to the podium we go, and defensive line coach Jimmy Brumbaugh is standing by.
It's a great day to be a Buffs. You know, we know it all starts up front, and we really were looking for that in this class, and we answered that question with a lot of big athletic guys. The next guy I have the privilege to introduce is coming in at 6'5", 285 pounds, transferring in from the University of Alabama, originally from Rahway, New Jersey, defensive end, Antonio Alfano.
Shotgun snap, quarterback drops, and Antonio Alfano goes from behind and brings down the quarterback. Second down from the 41-yard line. It's a bobbled snap, ball loose on the turf. It is picked up by Antonio Alfano. He's running at the 20, at the 15, hit at the 10, and he dragged the defender into the end zone. Touchdown, Antonio Alfano. Here comes the first down and 10 from the 26-yard line. Shotgun snap, quarterback moves out to the right, grabbed from behind, and sacked by Antonio Alfano at the 36-yard line. Second down and 5 from the 37-yard line. Shotgun snap, and look out. Here comes Antonio Alfano. Now here comes Alfano. He grabs him by the jersey and yanks down the quarterback for a sack. Dynamic highlights there for Antonio Alfano as the Buffaloes get the transfer from the University of Alabama, the #1 recruit by most services in 2019. Things didn't work out there with some family situations in Alabama. Now he becomes a Buffalo. He signed his financial aid agreements here in November, and now they officially announce him. This guy is dynamic.
He's a dude.
Yes, he's a dude, yeah. Yeah.
He's a dude. And you look at his high school stats, 76 tackles, 28 tackles for loss, 10 sacks. And the one that really jumped out at me, Mark, was 6 forced fumbles. That's the guy that goes after the ball. That's the guy that knows where the ball is, and he's going to get it on the ground and get somebody to recover it.
This is the kind of guy, too, I think, Neil, that when the news broke that Antonio was going to become a Buffalo and leave Alabama and come here, it creates a ripple effect because of the significance and the level that he was rated at coming out of high school.
Yeah, it is. And Mel Tucker has talked about that a lot, in improving and increasing Colorado's national profile, and that's a guy that does it. That's a guy that right there says, hey, Colorado is is going to recruit nationally. They're going to go wherever the great players are. And you want to talk about a national profile, you get a guy like that, and that raises eyebrows everywhere.
And I think it says something, too, about Mel Tucker, because remember, Mel recruited Antonio when Mel was at Georgia as their defensive coordinator. And because of that relationship built, it resonated with Antonio. So when things didn't work out at Alabama, he immediately turned and said, I want to be a player for Mel Tucker, Colorado.
Yeah, and you heard Coach Michalowski. You'll hear every coach, on the staff talk about it. It's relationships. Recruiting is relationships, and you build that relationship so that if this kind of circumstance does come up, those kids look to that relationship. Okay, where am I going next? And it didn't work out here. Those kind of things. So those relationships are just so important. Coach Tucker's great at building those, and you're seeing the effect of it right here.
Boy, you think about that defensive front for Colorado this past offseason. As young as that group was, it improved as the year went on. And so you feel good about what's already coming back. And then the guys that the Buffs have added here, including this guy, really kind of gets you jacked up for 2020.
Depth and size and speed and all those things up front, and Coach Tucker talks about it all the time. It starts in the trenches. And, when you've got a defensive line that can stop the run and then get after the quarterback, that's a really good start. And I think they're building that kind of thing here, and I know Coach Brumbaugh's pretty excited about it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. This one wasn't breaking news. We knew back in November it was going to happen, but today becomes official now with Antonio Alfano, the #1 recruit in 2019, transferring in. And now he's at Colorado Buffalo as we continue to build this 2019 class here from the Champion Center. Back to the podium we go. And Coach Al Papunu is.
Good morning, Buff Nations. It's a good day for the troop room. The next signee I'd like to introduce, coming in at 6'3", 251 pounds from Palo Alto High School, Palo Alto, California, Luis Passarello.
Two-point conversion attempt, shotgun snap, quarterback booting out to the right, throws it back in the end zone. Leaping grab is made by Luis Passarello. Shotgun snap taken by the quarterback, sidesteps his way left, throws it over the middle, grab is made at the 50-yard line by Passarello, and he's cut down inside the 45. Shotgun snap, quarterback looks left, rifles it out there, caught at the 20-yard line by Passarello, and he's got the first down. Inside the 10-yard line, shotgun snap, quarterback booting out to his right, looks over the middle, rifles over the middle, and spinning down and making a catch in the end zone is Passarello. Shotgun snap inside the 5-yard line, little inside pitch to Passarello, and the big fella turns and finds the end zone.
There's your newest Colorado Buffalo, a tight end out of Palo Alto, California, Luis Passarello, voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson, back here on set with Al Papunu. All right, tell us about your newest player you get to coach now in 2020.
It's going to be exciting with Lewis and Caleb in the room. We got some great talent now.
Yeah.
And some tough kids, actually, It's been nice.
What does Passarello bring to the table? An athletic guy? Tell me what.
Athletic, toughness, can-do attitude, not afraid to do anything, ready to catch the ball across the middle. Excited for this kid.
All right, how about Caleb Fourier? Well, first off, the bloodlines are phenomenal, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We actually crossed paths, me and then.
I bet you did in the NFL.
Yeah, we did, and he's a heck of a player. And you can see in the genes of Caleb, and he's got great hands, this kid can do everything.
What are the things you're looking for when you go to recruit a tight end? What are the things you're looking for?
So what I look for in a tight end is toughness. Is the kid willing to go in there, sacrifice himself, go across the middle, catch the ball, not worry about getting hit, and he's willing to put his body on the line. If you find those tangibles, you got to start.
Now, this position has changed so much in recent years. You think back to the earlier times in football where it was just a blocking. You were basically an extension of the offensive line, but it's totally changed now the way guys are spreading out and splitting out, aren't they?
Absolutely. You got to be able to do everything. Flexed out, be in a sniffer position, on the line, in the backfield, you got to do it all. If you look at all the teams that have been to the Super Bowl, they've all had a tight end, and that's really the equalizer to all defenses.
Yeah.
If you got a guy who can block and run, you can flex him out. Now you're at a point where what I got to play this guy with the safety? Well, then you can block the safety all day long. They put a linebacker, you can run right by him.
It's like Christmas morning getting these two guys today, isn't it?
It is.
Al, congratulations.
Thank you.
Al Papunu, tight ends coach for the Colorado Buffaloes. Luis Passarello, the latest Buff. He joins Caleb Fourier, 2 tight ends so far in this 2019 recruiting class. We're going to take another quick break. We'll come back and continue to build Mel Tucker's 2019 recruiting class after this. We continue our 2019 signing day coverage here at the Champions Center at the University of Colorado. Voice of the Boss, Mark Johnson, as Mel Tucker puts together this 2020 recruiting class. Let's find out who the next one is. Great class so far. Let's head up to the podium. Coach Heim is standing by.
Thanks, Mark. We are really excited about this next guy. He's got a huge leg, can punt the ball about any way that you can possibly. May have been the first guy in the country to sign this class because of the time difference. He's originally from Hobart, Tasmania. He's 6'4", 200 pounds. He's currently training in Melbourne, Australia with Pro Kick, punter Josh Watts.
Hey Buffs fans, Josh Watts here, checking in from Melbourne, Australia. Can't wait to get over next month and get stuck into it. Go Buffs.
Well, there's your newest Colorado Buffalo, Josh Watts. He's a punter. We didn't do the highlights for that. That would have been weird if I would have just kept saying punted over and over and over again.
Nice punt.
Yeah, without question. 6'4", 210 pounds. You know, Philip Lindsay was the Tasmanian Devil. Now we've got a guy from Tasmania here. How do you like that?
Yeah, and you know what's funny is punters think we've taken kind of for granted for the last 4 years.
Boy,
Had
Alex
a really
Kinney's
good,
been amazing.
Alex Kinney, steady Eddie, guy that was just really good for the last 4 years. All of a sudden now I've got to get a new one in, and this guy fills the bill. He's got a big leg. He's got experience, and he's a veteran guy. He's 23 years old. He's played some professional rugby, so this is a guy that's coming in here ready to go.
You know, we talked about having pipelines recruiting-wise, Texas or California or Florida, wherever it might be. That Australian pipeline for kickers and punters is becoming substantial in college football.
Yeah, it is. And if you look at the All-Americans and the Ray Guy winners and those kind of things over the last few years, a lot of them are from that pipeline. And so, yeah, bringing a guy in and had a kicker from Australia, now I got a punter from Australia.
Yeah, I did think it was kind of funny last night on social media. If you saw it, James Stefano, by the way, the kicker for the Buffaloes from Australia, was already touting the fact that one of his countrymen was coming in. And so it's good to have Josh Watts as part of the program here. Another, as Neil mentions, another rugby guy who was with part of Pro Kick. And again, he'll be enrolling in January. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. So Josh Watts is the newest Colorado Buffalo. Let's go back to the podium, find out who the next signee in this 2020 class is. Standing by is defensive line coach Jimmy Brumbaugh.
Boy, I really feel like a kid in a candy store being a D-line coach with these guys that we have here. The next guy that I have coming in at 6'2", 328 pounds from Narbonne High School in Los Angeles, California, nose tackle Jordan Berry.
There's a snap inside, hands it off to the running back, and Jordan Berry just blew that play up. Shotgun snap, hand up to the running back, and Jordan Berry just discards the offensive lineman and rides down the running back for the tackle. Quarterback wanting to throw. Here comes pressure from the outside, steps into the pocket, and Jordan Berry is right there to hold down the quarterback at the 18-yard line. Out of the pistol formation, quarterback steps up, pumps, and here comes Jordan Berry to grab the quarterback and bring him down to the 32-yard line. Third down and 10. Watch the pressure here. Snap to the quarterback, steps up, and here comes Jordan Berry to grab the quarterback and twist him down back at the 40-yard line.
Well, his name is Jordan Berry, 6'2", just a sandwich under 330 pounds, defensive lineman out of Los Angeles. As we talk with Jimmy Brumbaugh about him, you said it, it's like Christmas morning here, isn't it?
It really is. You know, anytime you can get big athletic men, makes you feel really good.
Tell us about this young man. As you evaluated him and recruited him, what did you see?
Well, he's a young man that, you know, he had the size that we were looking for. Mm-hmm. He also has the speed and athleticism to be able to rush the passer and push the pocket as an inside guy. So those are the attributes that we thought, you know, that really stood out to us.
Is he a three-technique guy, or where does he position on that defensive front?
Well, our nose guard plays multiple spots. He can play a three-technique. He could play a two-eye. We ask a lot of our guys, you know, so it's just not that he's going to be a nose guard. He's going to be a guy that can do multiple things for us.
You know, I've asked other coaches this. When you're trying to identify what you're looking for in that defensive front, in a guy, an interior lineman like this, what attributes are you looking for?
Well, first thing I'm looking for is girth.
Mm-hmm.
everyone's got to have girth.
Got to be big.
Because, you know, me playing in the SEC and me playing nose guard, I know what it's like for a guy to come down and double team you.
Yeah.
And so I look for girth. And the second thing I want foot quickness. You know, I want guys to be able to change the direction, stick their foot in the ground, be able to run, chase the ball, because, you know, we reduce the game to technique and effort.
Sure.
So those are the things that we're looking for.
Yeah. You know, we talked a little bit about some of the bloodlines of some of these guys. He's got brothers that were wide receivers. What happened there? He's a wide receivers, his brothers, and he becomes a defensive lineman.
I tell you, you know, it's crazy. You never know. It's all genes.
Right.
And, you know, there's different things that you look at, but, you know, you could see his size.
You know, being that we got you here, let's just ask you about some of the other guys. Antonio Alfano, give us a thought about him.
You know, he's a guy that has tremendous pass rush ability and can be physical at the point of attack. He loves the game, you know, and he's a guy that's going to give effort, and we're excited to have him.
And then Justin Jackson.
Justin, you know, here's another guy, you know, recruited him a long time, been on him since early May. And here's a guy that just, you know, his hunger to play the game, his transition in the pass rush, you know, because that's what this game is getting in the Pac-12. You know, they're throwing the ball around. We want guys to be able to stop the run and rush the passer.
You know, Neil and I were talking a few minutes ago that young defensive front that you had, I thought grew by leaps and bounds this season. And so you got a bunch of guys coming back, plus you had these three. I mean, you got to be just chomping at the bit to get out there with these fellas in the field.
Really excited, you know. The guys have put a lot of hard work in. You know, I was very proud of them this year. You know, they didn't hang their heads. They kept fighting all through the season, and they got better each day. You know, I tell the guys, if you can get 10% better each day, then, you know, we're really cooking with grease.
Yeah, love it. Well, congratulations on these three guys.
Thank you.
All right, that's assistant coach in the defensive line, Jimmy Brumbaugh. Jordan Berry is the newest Colorado Buffalo. Let's find out who the next one is as part of this 2019 signing day and this 2020 class. Back to the podium we go, and offensive coordinator Jay Johnson.
Very excited that our next signee will be introduced by our all-time leading NFL quarterback, Cordell Stewart.
Hi, I'm Cordell Stewart, and I'm honored to announce the new addition to the Colorado Buffaloes, a dual-threat quarterback from Melissa High School in Melissa, Texas, Brendan Lewis. And you know how I love those dual-threat quarterbacks. Congrats, Brendan, and go Buffs.
First down and 10. Out of the shotgun, snap to Brendan Lewis. He drops back, steps up the pocket. He's going for a home run ball. What a throw, end zone touchdown. Shotgun snap to Brendan Lewis. He drops, sets his feet, pops his arm, rifles down the left side. What a throw, and it's caught at the 20 on the way to the end zone. Off-line snap taken by Lewis. Steps up, now buying time, running to the far sideline, looking downfield. Rifles in back of the end zone, touchdown. Shotgun snap taken by Brendan Lewis. He boots his way out to his left, now tucks, decides to run, showing his speed, running to the near side, stiff arms the defender, turns the corner to 30, and down the sideline he goes.
Well, some awful good-looking highlights by the quarterback of this 2020 recruiting class and this 2019 signing day here at the Champions Center, Brendan Lewis. He comes to us out of Texas, Melissa High School, 6'3", 210, and he joins us on FaceTime right now. Brendan, congratulations, son. We've been hearing a lot about you for a long time. Talk about how exciting this is to finally have this day upon us. Now you're a Colorado Buffalo.
Yeah. When I was a little kid, I always dreamed of playing college football, and it's just amazing to see this dream come true.
Yeah. What was it about the University of Colorado, Mel Tucker, the staff? What drew you here to Boulder?
Really just everything about it. I felt like Coach Tucker's going to do great things with the program, and I loved all the visits I came to, and it just made me excited, and I knew this was the place to be.
You know, I look at the numbers that you threw for during your high school career, almost 9,000 yards, 100 touchdowns. You ran for over 3,000 yards. The numbers are mind-boggling. You tell Buffs fans, what kind of quarterback is Brendan Lewis?
They're going to see it all. I'm going to make plays with my feet and make plays with my arm, and I think I'm going to be pretty exciting to watch.
Yeah. Tell us about your visit here. When you came on your official visit to Boulder and saw what this program was all about, what struck you first?
Really just the atmosphere and Coach Johnson and Coach Tucker, the way they presented the program. And when I left, I just knew it was the place to be. It felt like home, away from home.
you've really got an opportunity here. Steven Montez graduates, set virtually every passing record here at the University of Colorado. You've got a chance now, don't you, to walk on in here, and there's playing time sitting on the table waiting for you to take it.
Yeah, that's the plan. I'm going to have to earn it. Nothing's going to be given to me, but the plan is to work my butt off to be able to start.
Yeah. You like the system. You mentioned Jay Johnson, the offensive coordinator. As you kind of analyze the system that Colorado runs, do you like what you saw?
Yes, I liked what I saw. I think Coach Johnson is a good coach. He's going to help me develop as a quarterback.
Hey, we want to make sure that people can find you on Twitter. Give us your Twitter handle so people can follow you.
Brendan Lewis 123.
All right, congratulations. That's right. I like that. Brandon, congratulations. Can't wait to see you in a black and gold uniform out here at Folsom Field.
Thank you.
All right, there he is, quarterback Brandon Lewis. Outstanding, 6'3", 210 from Melissa, Texas, four-star prospect from ESPN. As we bring Neil Welk back into the conversation here from CUBuffs.com. Boy, that guy brings a lot of excitement, doesn't he?
You know, and it was great they had Cordell introduce him,
Yeah.
because that's a guy that he reminds you of.
Right.
When you see his highlights, that's a guy that, you know, Cordell Stewart could run, could throw, playmaker, extend plays, break tackles, do all those kind of things, and that's what this guy reminds you of, is somebody like that can bring that to this offense and be a guy that makes this offense run.
You know, you think of the last two quarterbacks for the Colorado Buffaloes, and both have been outstanding. Cepho Lufau and Steven Montez. Both ran relatively well, but I think Brendan Lewis kind of takes it to another level, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he's more of a natural runner. I mean, Steven ran when he had to, Cepho ran when he had to, but this is a guy that likes to run, that can run, and he's got that natural ability to break some plays, and so he's going to be a beast in the pocket for people to try and contain.
He talk about multi-sport athletes once again. Averaged 20 points, 10 rebounds, a double-double per game playing basketball for Melissa. And how about this little nugget here that Curtis Snyder and our staff came up with? He was born December 8, 2001 in Dallas, Texas. 1 week to the day after the Buffaloes' 39-37 victory over Texas in the Big 12 title game in Big D.
Yeah, you know, I'm sure he had no idea at the time that he was going to be following up and being expected to do that again. But love to see that guy lead Colorado to another conference championship.
Well, good stuff there. Brendan Lewis, the quarterback in this staff. We're going to talk with Travaris Tillman coming up here next. And we're just going to have Travaris come in and sit down, or we can take a break. So Neil's going to step aside. We're going to bring Travaris Tillman in and talk a little bit with the defensive backs coach for the University of Colorado as we get the announcement of Brendan Lewis. What a good-looking class we've got so far here at the University of Colorado. We'll bring Travaris is going to grab the microphone. I think he was in there celebrating with everybody else with some of the great recruits that we've had to come. So the quarterbacks coach, Travaris Tillman, you excited about what you're seeing so far in this class?
I'm really excited, man. We've got some good signees today, and just excited to get them on campus.
Let's just throw out a name to you. You tell me what kind of strikes you about the first one, Christian Gonzalez, out of the Colony.
Big, long, fast corner, really physical. Man, excited for him to be here.
Jalen Stryker.
He has an old soul. I really like him. He comes in. He's going to bring a lot of wisdom, I think, back to the secondary.
When you look at these positions and what you're looking for in cornerbacks in this conference, of course, the way the Pac-12 style of football is, what are you looking for? And are these guys exactly the type of players you're looking for?
Exactly what we're looking for. They're long. They can both run. They have short memories, which you need, and just excited for them to be here.
Yeah, it's a challenge in this league for a young cornerback, isn't it, the way they throw the ball around?
It is challenging, but it's also at the same time a lot of opportunities for you.
Yeah, I'm always amazed because you think of, traditionally you think of corners and they were smaller guys, but as the game has changed, they're becoming larger and longer. And I mentioned a while ago some of the guys we've had come through, Isaiah Oliver and Akella Witherspoon in recent years. These guys, those same body types, great length, which you've got to have at this level right now.
You got to have it because the receivers nowadays are long guys too, so you got to have a dude that can compete with those receivers.
Yeah, and they come in at a welcome time. I mean, that secondary is getting thin towards the end of the season.
Yeah, it was getting thin, but I think the guys that came in and filled in, I think they did a great job.
Yeah. So these are the kind of guys who can come in and compete right away?
Right away. If they just come in, work, get in their playbook, they should have an opportunity to get on the field.
Good stuff. Well, congratulations on these two.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, Travaris Tillman, cornerbacks coach for the Colorado Buffaloes, as we had a couple of more here to 2020's recruiting class on the 2019 signing day here in the month of December. Let's go back to the podium. Standing by is Coach Darian Hagan.
Good morning, Buff Nation. I would like to welcome every one of these young men to the Buff family. It's an honor and a privilege to announce this next young man. He's from my neck of the woods. He's Inglewood's finest, 6'2", 185-pound wide receiver, Montana Lemonious Craig. Go Buffs.
Shotgun snap on first down. Hold down. Quarterback rears back down the left side. They go. And Montana Lamonius Craig with a catch at the 30 out of the end zone. Touchdown. Lamonius Craig in motion. Shotgun snap. Quarterback fakes the inside handoff. Swings it back to Lamonius Craig. And he works his way around the left side into the end zone. Touchdown. First down and 10. Out of the pistol formation. Fakes the handoff. Dropping the throw. Over the top they go. And it's caught behind everybody by Montana Lamonius Craig. He runs away from two defenders on his way to the end zone. Touchdown. And Montana Lamonius Craig, end zone touchdown.
Well, first off, you got to love the name, Montana Lamonius Craig, wide receiver for the Colorado Buffaloes out of Inglewood, California, 6'2", 185. As we continue, voice of the bus, Mark Johnson, along with Neil Welke, CUBuffs.com. Well, that one just kind of rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Oh, I can't wait till you call touchdown Montana Lamonius Craig. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
But he kind of fits, I think, the mold that we've been talking about with Mel Tucker and his wide receivers.
Yeah, it does. You know, he's got length, he's got speed, he's got size, goes up and gets the ball, and a great athlete. I mean, you look, he played receiver, he was a cornerback, he punted, he was a punt returner, played basketball, was actually the MVP of the Pioneer League as a junior. So, great athlete, a guy that can come in here. And again, the depth that Darren Cheverini has to work with those wide receivers is going to be great.
It was an improvement for that Inglewood High School team. They went from 0-10 to 12-1, losing by 1 point in the CIF semifinals. So big turnaround. He was a big part of that, of course. And I like this. You know, we think of players coming in here and really making an impact, not only with their athleticism, but what they mean, I think, on the roster. His coaches in high school called him Mr. Inglewood because he was the heart and soul of that team. That I like to see.
I like to see that, and Coach Tucker and all the staff here at Colorado have talked about that recruiting character, bringing guys in that are going to be good on the field, good off the field, good in the locker room, be leaders on the team, and that's the kind of guy that you want in here, and I think they got that here.
Well, he's out of Inglewood High School, 6'2", 185, wide receiver, Montana Lamonius Craig. Remember that name. I think we're going to hear that for years to come here at the University of Colorado. Let's find out who the next member of the 2020 class since 2019 signing day. Up to the podium, and Ross Hells is standing by.
The next new member of the Buff family, inside linebacker from Westlake Village, California, Oaks Christian High School, 6 foot, 228 pounds, Mr. Williams.
Mr. Williams, the linebacker, is right there to bring down the ball kick. Snap inside, handoff, and Mr. Williams is right there sweeping down the line of scrimmage to make the tackle. Snap inside, handoff, and another outstanding lead and tackle that time by Mr. Williams. Another running play. Great penetration by Mr. Williams and a tackle at the 30-yard line. Option left-hand side, pitch to Williams. Mr. Williams upfield inside the 40. Splits two defenders. Steps out of a tackle. Breaks another tackle at the 15 to the 10 end zone.
Boy, when we're talking about names, we had Lamonius Craig a moment ago. How about Mr. Williams? Wait till you tell you what his brothers' names are. We continue. Voice of the bus, Mark Johnson. Ross Hells joining us here for a couple of minutes. Inside linebacker out of Westlake Village, California. What do you like about this guy?
Number one thing you like about Mr. Williams is the type of person he is.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing that Coach Collins at Oaks Christian High School mentioned. He's a phenomenal individual that's going to do things right and going to work his tail off. The other thing we like about Mr. is his athleticism. Even though he's a fairly good-sized guy at about 228, played a lot of running back for him, which you need at linebacker. You need to be able to have that athleticism to play in space.
And it's really a position need for the Buffaloes.
It is, yeah. Obviously, we don't lose anybody this year.
Right.
But coming off the next year, we lose several guys. So this is a huge recruiting class for us to get a guy that can come in and play fairly early.
Also, a pretty smart guy, by the way. Dean's List student, so he comes as a good student. That says a lot about his character. There.
Well, we need that at inside.
Yeah.
We need a guy that can make the checks and get us in the right defense, and Mr. fits that bill.
All right, his brothers' names are Sir and Prince.
Sir and Prince.
Mom and Dad
How about
were
that?
creative,
Yeah,
huh?
they were. Yeah, it's a great family. It really is.
Yeah.
And the youngest brother, Prince, is so fired up for Mr. to be a Buffalo. He's got more Buffalo gear than I think maybe any of us.
Love that. Outstanding. Well, what we got you here, I oversee special teams for the Buffaloes. Josh Watts, the 23-year-old Australian punter. Give us a thought about him.
Yeah, Coach Heim did a great job of researching guys all around, really, the world, trying to find a punter that can come in. Josh is another one of those Australian rugby-type players that's been working for about the last year and a half of the U.S., how to punt the football in U.S. football. And Josh has a tremendous leg. He's a little bit older than most guys. He's in his low 20s. He's not like Stefano in his low 30s, you know. But he's going to do a great job for us, tremendous athlete, and looking forward to see what he can do on the field.
When you've got a guy like that, we've talked about that with James Stefano as well. You know, they're older, they've seen a little bit more, there's a maturation about them. So you would think, in a way, the transition would be a little bit quicker.
And I think it will be. And Pro Kick, the organization that actually helps these guys develop into college and pro punters, do a great job of putting them in situations, not only with how to handle a punt rush, but also how to media, school, things like that. And they get them prepared to be able to come over to the U.S.
Ross, what's going on in Australia? I mean, all of a sudden, this enormous flood of kickers and punters.
Well, it's the rugby down there. Rugby is the #1 sport. So all these kids go and they play professional rugby, and they're really good athletes that are used to running around kicking the ball, and now they come back over here, and they've been doing it for a long time.
Well, I love it. We're looking forward to having him here. And, of course, Mr. Williams, we just talked about the inside linebacker. Congratulations.
Thanks, Mark.
That's assistant coach Ross Ells. Back to the podium we go as Mel Tucker continues to build his 2020 recruiting class here on this signing day of 2019. Up to the podium, and Darren Cheverini.
Buff Nation, what a day, what a class. Here to introduce our next signee, the #1 ranked receiver in the state of Arizona, Brendan Rice, 6'3", 204 pounds. What a player this young man is. He's big, he's explosive, obviously got legendary bloodline. And here to congratulate him is a 2018 second-round pick, Isaiah Oliver of the Atlanta Falcons.
What's up, Buff Nation? It's Isaiah Oliver with the Atlanta Falcons. I just want to say congratulations to Brendan Rice for committing to Colorado. That's a way to represent Arizona. And as always, Go Buffs.
Shotgun snap, quick throw on the left side, caught at the 37-yard line by Brendan Rice. He steps away from 2 defenders. He gets a block down the far side. He's running inside the 40, 25, 20, 15, 10, and he's hit knocked out of bounds. Shotgun snap, quick throw right side, turns upfield. Brendan Rice blows by a defender into the end zone. Shotgun snap, quarterback boots out to his left, looks downfield, rifles it, left front corner of the end zone. Caught, touchdown, Brendan Rice. Shotgun snap, looking downfield, sets the feet, rifles it downfield, leaping grab is made around the 30-yard line by Brendan Rice.
Well, you love the bloodlines there. Brendan Rice, what a good-looking wide receiver is Darren Cheverini, the assistant head coach, joins us here, wide receivers coach for the Buffaloes. You've had a pretty good day so far, I think. Huh?
It's a really good class. It reminds me a lot of the group we brought in a couple of years ago when we brought LaVisca, KD, and Jalen and Maurice in. But this is a really, really sound class all around.
All right, let's start with Brendan Rice. Tell us about him.
I mean, what can you say, man? Obviously, the son of a legendary player in Jerry Rice, 6'3", 205 pounds. His mom, Jackie, is the heart and soul of that family. But Brendan is a big, explosive athlete that can run. He can stretch the field. He's big in the run game. And he fell in love with Boulder when he came here on his visit.
All right, next up, Chris Carpenter.
You know, Chris Carpenter reminds me of a guy that we signed when I was at Texas Tech named Jakeem Grant, who's playing for the Dolphins now. Just explosive athlete, can really stretch the defense. He's also dynamic in the slot, and that's the need that we had to address in this class, is to get a dynamic slot that can stretch the field, but also in the return game it can help us on special teams. But, you know, he's a kid that ran like 21 flat and 200. He has speed.
Yeah, so he's one of the smaller guys in this group of receivers we're talking about. The next one, we talked about the name, Montana Lamonius Craig.
You know, hats off to Jeff Martson. He's with our player personnel, and he said, Chev, you got to watch this kid. And so he brought me in. He showed Coach Tucker. Coach Tucker loved him. I watched him. I fell in love with him. And we were kind of late in the recruitment of Montana, but then we watched them on film. We fell in love with them. We offered them, went and watched them live out there in Inglewood. And this kid's the sleeper of the class. He reminds me a lot of Tony Brown. When I watched Tony Brown play in high school, he reminds me of Tony. Real fluid, great ball skills, played defense, had 6 picks on defense, is a guy that's going to upgrade us, and that's a solid room as we got right now, but we're going to keep adding more depth to that room.
I was going to say, that's some pretty high praise here. I mean, you know, Tony Brown, I know how much you love him because he was such a great player and just kind of carried himself as a pro.
Tony was a guy that really matured over his time. Obviously, I signed him at Tech. He transferred up here to Boulder and had a great career for us. You know, we don't win a lot of those games this year without Tony Brown making those plays on Saturdays. So I have big high hopes for Montana Lamonius Craig, and I can't wait for you to call his name on Saturdays.
Are you kidding me? That's outstanding. All right, how about Keith Miller? I love the way he carried himself leading up to signing day, but he was a leader amongst all the recruits.
Keith, you know, hats off to him because he recruited a lot of our guys. He called guys, he texted guys, he got guys in group chats. Keith Miller's a big 6'4", 6'5" receiver out of the Colony, can go up and get the ball, but also can stretch the field. I mean, when we went down there and watched him play, you know, he made play after play after play, and him, Gonzo on the same team. It was really cool to see those guys on the same team, kind of like when we saw Laviska and KD a couple years ago. So it was good to get both those guys.
Hey, speaking of which, the first time we've had Chev on in a situation like this to talk about that with Laviska and then KD announcing that they're going to forego their final year and go to the NFL. What were your thoughts on that?
You know, I mean, as a coach, you're just proud to see their development. You know, see them come in here as true freshmen, play as true freshmen, have really dominant sophomore seasons, and see them progress, develop their game, become better men. And I think that's what we're doing at Colorado under Coach Tucker, is that we're recruiting high character guys, but we're also coaching them hard, and we're loving them up, and we're showing them that we're going to be here for them. So, you know, it's always special when you see guys like, you know, Laviska's a projected first-round pick, and you saw what he did. And then KD, he's a versatile kid that can do a lot of different things. So it's going to be interesting to see how scouts project him, because he's kind of hard, because he can play running back, he can play slot, he can play outside. And then Tony Brown's another guy that I think has a chance to get drafted. He played really well and got a lot of good feedback from the scouts. And so I'm looking forward to those guys through their process of going through the NFL draft.
You know, in regards to Laviska, he's such just a dynamic athlete. You played in the NFL. When you project him forward, I mean, I guess the sky's the limit for a guy like that.
You don't project him as a receiver. He's an OW, offensive weapon.
Oh.
So you can play him a number of different places. You can play him in the backfield. You can put him in the slot. You can put him at the H. You can put him outside because he can run past guys. But he's one of the strongest guys pound for pound on our football team. And so I think Laviska projects really well to the National Football League, because they're always looking for guys that are multiple. You know, they're looking for players that can beat man-to-man press coverage. And Laviska Shenault's one of those guys.
You know, there was just a short time ago where we had about a 3 or 4 year span where that cornerback room was awful impressive around here, obviously, right? You've had a stretch now here, and this class included, adding to it, that receivers room is packed for you.
Yeah, you know, Coach Tucker always talks about it. You want to be a great coach, get great players. and so that's why recruiting is so important. But I think we're going to go on a run here. You know, Juwan Winfrey got drafted last year. Laviska is supposed to go high. Hopefully Tony Brown and KD, where they fit in the mold. But there's guys like in our classes, like Daniel Arias, and you got Levante Shenault, and you got Dimitri, and this group coming in. You want to be stacked each and every year. So when it gets time to go to the draft, the guys are getting drafted. It makes your room look better. It makes you a better football coach.
When you think about the guys you mentioned that are leaving now, with Laviska and KD and Tony moving on to the NFL, are the guys coming back? Who are you excited about seeing kind of step up and become one of the top receivers?
I'm really excited to see Daniel Ayers. You know, here's a kid that's 6'4", that can run a 10-6, that can run by any corner in the conference. You know, Levante Shenault, Maurice Bell, Dimitri Stanley, Jalen Jackson. You know, there's a really sound group of guys that are in that room, and then guys that are coming into the program. So, you know, competition makes everybody better.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, congratulations. You got some nice new toys to play with here, don't you?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. That's Darren Chiaverini joining us here. We're going to segue now. Chev's going to step out. Offensive coordinator Jay Johnson is going to join us here for a couple minutes. We'll talk with Jay about some of the players that we brought in here. We just saw, of course, Brendan Rice and Brendan Lewis just a few minutes ago. Jay sits down. He's got the microphone now. Boy, this is a good day for the Buffs offense, I would think.
Absolutely. Very exciting. You always look at the guys you're bringing in and how they can add to your crew that you currently have. So very excited to bring the two together.
Now, I think 2020 is going to be an interesting year for you on the offensive side. You lose a very experienced quarterback in Steven Montez, who leaves here holding almost every single passing record you can think of. And so that, I guess, kind of opens things up. Now, Brendan Lewis is coming in. You got some other guys coming back. So that's going to be an interesting position for you moving into the new season.
It will, very much so. You know, as you look at your team and things like that, obviously, in my opinion, it starts with the quarterback. And so Steven can't applaud him enough for what he did for this university and for this program, but excited for the future. You know, you have some guys in the program with Tyler and Blake and different things that have shown some really good things, but then you bring Brendan into the mix. So it's going to be a very competitive spring, but an awesome spring for those guys.
A top 20 dual threat quarterback, Brendan Lewis. Tell us what you see in him.
You know, I think there's a lot of things that I see in Brendan. One is the type of person that he is. You know, feel that brings so much to the table. And you know, he is very athletic, but I look at him as a thrower first.
Yeah.
I think he has that ability, and at our level, you have to be able to do both, run and throw the football, and I think he brings that to the table. But then you just look at what he does with the other parts of his life, you know, how he's doing in school, and to me, that all adds up, because to me, the quarterback's the CEO of the football team,
Yeah.
and he needs to have all those pieces in place. And what he's shown through his high school, the way his mom and dad have brought him up, he's well on track to be very successful.
I was going to say there seems to be, in the little bit of interaction I've had with him and what I've read about, very competitive kid, right?
Absolutely, ultra competitive, but humble at the same token.
Yeah.
You know, I know that he knows he needs the others around him, but absolutely competitive.
Yeah. Quick comment about Steven Montez. You talked about what he meant to this program, and it's been obvious during your 1 year here how close you've grown to him. And I will talk about Steven for the rest of my career, about how much we loved and what way he competed for this team. When you see him moving on to the next level, there's so much physical potential there.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see from him?
I'm just excited. You know, I think that through his tenure here and the different opportunities he had to work with different people, he continued to grow. And so I always look to him as being able to take those different things in here. I came in, you know, he's on the end of tail of his career, and also I'm the new guy on the block, but, you know, he took me in, and he was coachable. And I think that showed well for him. And one thing I liked about him is he came every day to compete at practice, and that showed. And I thought his game continued to improve as he got later in his career here. And so I'm really excited for him. I think he has such a great foundation, as you know, so physically gifted, that as he continues to grow and puts that all together, I think some opportunities could be very, very eventful.
What's the number one question that you get asked when you talk with folks from the NFL that are wondering about him? What's the number one thing they ask you about him?
Well, they ask you several things to begin with, but you know, it's a lot of it is, you know, what is his makeup? What is he all about? What's his competitive spirit? You know, what's his football sense, his leadership skills? And as we mentioned, I think those things have really grown in his time here, and I think it will bode him well in the future.
All right, how about this recruiting class right now that you look at? We talked about Brendan Lewis, but 4 wide receivers, 3 offensive linemen, 2 tight ends, the quarterback. Give us your overall thought about what you did here today.
Well, very exciting. You know, I think obviously it's a group effort. It's our entire staff. You know, I looked at Jeff Martson and how he kind of put the pieces in place, because you kind of have to. It's an interesting process, because you have to look at who you have to look at who's leaving, and you have to kind of do some projections to kind of create those and fill those voids. And I think we've done that. I think we've accomplished that. And so, you know, we needed to hit a lot of different areas offensively, and through Jeff and Coach Tucker's leadership, I think we've done that, and so excited to get these guys on campus.
Boy, the 3 offensive linemen, the Christian Lichtenhand, Jake Ray Carsley, enormous young men coming in here from the start. I mean, great material to work with, right? Then you get them in the weight room with Coach Wilson.
No question. I mean, all of them are big people, and so we need to do that to help us in all facets, so that's going to be good to get those guys in.
How tough is it for an offensive lineman to come in and play right away at this level?
I think there's difficulties, but I've seen several do it. You know, I think each one of those guys are probably a little different stage of maturity and things of that nature. But, you know, obviously Coach Cap and Jack Harris do a tremendous job with those guys. And so they'll be definitely given the opportunity. And you know, it's always that transitional period. Now, how does that transitional period go? But I know a couple of them are coming in early, which will be great, so they can get in with Coach Wilson and his staff and kind of get going. The nutrition piece and all that comes together.
Well, we've said that many times here throughout building this 2020 recruiting class on this 2019 signing day, that a lot of these guys are going to be early enrollees. They'll come in here after the first of the year. And the value of that, we didn't see that years ago, Jay, but now it's become such a huge part of this, hasn't it?
It has. You know, a lot of people are beginning to do that, and you know, in certain aspects, it's great, because they can kind of get in a little bit different time frame instead of just stepping in with us kind of when fall camp starts, just the way things are. But really, it really allows them to transition, get the academic piece kind of figured out, and get the whole strength and conditioning, and then really almost advance them as they begin to move forward in their career.
You lose 2 tight ends to graduation, of course, out this last year's team. Brady Russell, who had such an outstanding season for the Buffaloes. First time in a long time the Buffaloes had a tight end that had over 20 receptions in a season. But you add 2 guys here. You like the additions?
Yeah, I do. That's a big piece for me. You know, Brady, exceptional, as you mentioned. Really excited about his future. But obviously with Caleb and Lewis, that's a big piece to what we do. Those guys, in a certain sense, for me, are kind of the MVPs because they're asked to do a lot. They got to do everything. They got to pass block, they got to run block, they got to get open, they got to catch the ball, and so very, very intricate in what we do. And so really excited for those additions.
What do you think is the next step as you guys look towards 2020? What's the next step for this offense where you really want to see it evolve?
I think obviously there's several areas, and we as a staff will collectively review that here once we kind of get off the road in February. But, the thing that I look at, and I feel good about our foundational base, but one of the things that I want to really explore and take another step is situational football. Okay. As you look at what happens, so many things come down to situational football, and I felt that's an area we need to improve, and so that's really going to be a focal point for us as we kind of move forward, if it be what part of the field you're in, if it be a down and distance setting. But those things, to me, it all comes to the state of mind of our team, and I thought as the season went, that state of mind improved, that, hey, we're going to get this done. And so that's going to be continually hammered in, but we got to work on that situational ball.
How about for year number 2 for you as the offensive coordinator now? I mean, you get here and you hit the ground running, and it's baptism by fire, drinking from the fire hose, whatever analogy you want to use. But year number 2 now, you've kind of established yourself. What changes for you, do you think, going into the next season?
I think it's knowing where we're at and knowing where we can go. Okay. Now you have a better feel of the staff. I have a better feel for our folks and our players. And so just the whole deal, more awareness, and now we can move forward in a positive way.
All right. Well, it's been a good day for you and the offensive
Absolutely.
side. Looking forward to 2020.
Absolutely. Thank you,
All right.
Mark.
There's offensive coordinator Jay Johnson. We're going to let him step aside. We're going to bring in on the defensive side Tyson Summers, the safeties coach and the defensive coordinator for the Colorado Buffaloes, as we continue here in our early signing period 2019 coverage from the Champion Center. Voice of the boss, Mark Johnson. Tyson Summers now as we put together this 2020 recruiting class. Well, you got to feel pretty good about today, huh?
Yeah, we're really excited. I think particularly being able to take and address the issues that we felt like we needed to help from a number standpoint. And then, our emphasis was being able to take guys with a lot of height and a lot of range. Yeah. And feeling like we could sign guys that could come in and help us right away, particularly on the defensive line, outside backer, and in the secondary. And so I think we've more than addressed those issues.
I was going to say, let's go ahead and break it down here. 10 players, by the way, on the defensive side. A lot of size. Defensive lineman, 6'3", 300 pounds. Offensive lineman, or outside linebacker, rather, 6'3", 235. DBs in that 6'3" range. A lot of big guys. Let's start on the defensive front, where Jordan Berry, Justin Jackson, and Antonio Alfano. Give us a thought about those three.
Yeah, I think the big thing, kind of to start with Jordan is this. We were fortunate enough that we were able to get him going and we got him out here for an unofficial visit with he and his mother in the spring. Coach Brumbaugh did a fantastic job of being able to get those guys and get them out here. So that started the process for us very early with them. He's a great young man. We went through the process. He became an LSU commit for a period of time. We continued to recruit him, continued to stay on him, continued to have a relationship with both he and his mother, and we were able to get him here in the end. And obviously, trying to take a guy that's that big and that athletic, when you watch his tape and you realize how massive of a man he is, to be able to move the way he does is really impressive.
How about Justin Jackson?
Justin, again, I think his tape speaks for himself. Justin is really put together, like you said, big, massive guy that can help us play, either an end or a tackle spot for us, not necessarily a nose, but a bigger guy off the edge, kind of similar to T-Lang, and when you watch his film and you see the athleticism that he has, that he can run the way he does, is really impressive.
Antonio Alfano. This is an interesting story. This isn't always the way that guys end up in your lap, but because of the bounce back and the relationships that were built earlier, he comes back. But, boy, an impressive-looking human being. Huh?
Yeah, Antonio's great. Again, a guy that we've been fortunate enough to get out here, a couple different times and had a great official visit with him, and getting the opportunity to meet some of his family at the same time has been really impressive. But I think it goes back to, again, all three of these guys, but particularly with Antonio, is just the Mel Tucker resume, and what he's been able to do, the places he's been, and obviously the system that we run defensively, that is obviously his, is a drawing card to anybody and everybody in the country.
Give us a thought on those outside linebackers: Devin Grant, Elvin Williams, Guy Thomas.
Okay, so Devin Grant, I had a chance to go watch Devin in our open week. I think he had 4 sacks in the first half.
Nice.
Very physical guy. Obviously, what a great honor. He's playing in his hometown in San Antonio, but an
Army All-American. Those don't come around very often, and tremendous honor. Great family again. Coach Michalowski did a fantastic job of getting he and his family out here for an unofficial visit, early in the process last year, and we've been fortunate enough to hold on to him. A guy that can strike, guy that can be able to rush off an edge and be able to really help us whenever it comes to that.
Those defensive backs, Christian Gonzalez, Jalen Stryker, Torrin Pittman, a lot of length and size back there.
Yes, sir. So, like anything else, you want guys, receivers are so big today. And, obviously you look at the receivers that we have here and the job that Coach Cheverini has been able to do recruiting those guys for the last couple of years, but you've got to be able to match that kind of size. And so what we've tried to do is be able to take guys with the length and guys that are already kind of built, like Jalen Stryker's an obvious example of a guy that's 6'2", almost 200 pounds already in the secondary, and got 3 years left to play for us, and being able to come in here as a mid-year. So really impressed with him. Christian Gonzalez has got some of the best film of anybody in the country. And, we're really excited about being able to have Christian and his ability to really adapt and be able to do things in the secondary and maybe the opportunity to also play on offense, I think will be really cool for him.
How's that conversation going to go with the offensive side? Is there a little bet that goes on about
no,
who gets that guy?
It's very easy. Coach Tucker says.
Love it.
So that's what it'll wind up being. But I think again at all those positions, even Guy Thomas, a guy that was highly recruited coming out of Miami originally, and being able to help us, a guy that's already got the body, already got the size, and a guy that can help come in here and again provide depth for us right away.
How about Torrin Pittman?
Torrin's a great example too. He's a guy that is really long, and a guy that we're looking forward to being able to help us at the safety position, secondary, and possibly a star down the road. But Torrin comes from a great high school program. Coach Shell's been recruiting him for a number of years and done a tremendous job with him. And it's really cool to see, with Torrin, with Christian and those guys being able to kind of be in a similar area and already kind of having an impact right there in Dallas, and being able to sign the 3 or 4 guys that we have from that area is really impressive.
This defensive unit for the Buffaloes this season, early on, they were giving up some yards, giving up some points. The one thing that was impressive with Tyson is the way you guys stuck with it, and the improvement kept coming.
Sure.
And with the young defense, it's going to take time for those guys to learn, but that says a lot about add this group to that group about what you've got for 2020.
Yeah, we are. We're excited. Again, there's some key figures, out of that senior class, obviously on the playing field. There's some key figures for guys that were great leaders for us, in that senior class. But we have a lot coming back. We've got a lot of guys that played a lot of snaps. We have a lot of guys that were playing really well the last 3 or 4 games of the season that we've got coming back as well. But I think, again, I think Coach Tucker's done a great job of being able to put the culture that we want to have on the defensive side of the ball, and as you were able to see, kind of the execution that you want to be able to have at the end of the season. And now being able to sign a class like this is going to be able to give us an opportunity to have a lot more depth and be able to create competition.
When you didn't lose a lot of guys, you think of what Alex Chang would be one, Delrick Abrams, Davion Taylor. There were seniors on the defensive side of the ball. Davion's an interesting guy to me because of how raw he is, but I know the guys at the next level are kind of wondering about him a little bit. How do you see him kind of moving on to the next level?
Well, I think the best thing with Davion is, Davion's a great example, again, of Coach Tuck and the system that we're running, and the fact that we can adapt to a lot of different people. Davion's 6'2", 230 pounds, playing star, and our star when we were at Georgia was a 5'10", 185-pound guy. So very different. And I think that's what gives us kind of the ability, with a lot of those guys to be able to adapt what we do. I think Davion is going to have a fantastic career. Davion is one of my all-time favorite, players, guys that I've ever coached. Great young man, and going to be able to sit there and finish his degree, be a Buff, and what a fantastic story.
No doubt about it. Outstanding. Well, you got to feel good about this today, huh? Congratulations.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right, defensive coordinator Tyson Summers. On this early signing period of 2019, Buffalo's put together a very good-looking 2020 recruiting class. A guy that came out of DPS just a few years ago, right now is starring for the Denver Broncos on the verge of his second 1,000-yard season. Philip Lindsay was able to record a video congratulating this year's recruiting class.
What's up, y'all? Philip Lindsay here with the Denver Broncos. I want to congratulate all y'all who signed today, man. Hey, it's a big moment, and you guys are officially Buffs. Now go out there and go get a Pac-12 championship.
There you go.
You got a little Phil.
Man, you got a little Philip Lindsay,
You got a
don't you?
little Phil, yeah.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. Head coach Mel Tucker joining us here in this early signing period day 2019-2020 class is put together, and maybe some more stuff coming. We'll address that when it happens, but
We'll
right
see.
now you got to feel good about what you've done here today. Give us your
I
thoughts.
feel great. This is a very special class, and you know, every single one of these players are guys that we wanted. You know, we targeted these guys, and we wanted them because we know these guys can help us win the championship.
Sure.
And you know, the one thing that's really special is that, you know, although you have to recruit these guys, right? They all wanted to be here.
Yeah.
They wanted to be here. Their parents wanted them to be here. Their coaches wanted them to be here, and they saw the vision, you know, and they felt the culture. They fell in love. They fell in love with Boulder, and so just quickly, I just got to give a shout out to all of our coaches,
right?
All of our fans, all of our media that are working really, really hard today.
Yeah.
I mean, guys are in here grinding, and it's just a great day for the Buffs.
It's amazing. You and I sat down, did a little podcast yesterday with Simone George, who is behind the scenes, the director of recruiting. And I think it emphasized to me when we were talking with Simone about how many people are involved in what happened here today, right? We all talk to you and the position guys, but it's amazing how many people right now are behind those cameras back there that made this possible here today.
Yeah, I mean, look at this room. It's full of great Buffs.
Yep.
You know, we're all in. You know, our recruiting class is all in. And everyone in this organization is all in for the Buffs. It takes every single person in our organization to pull together a recruiting class like this.
Mel, you came here with a vision. You've been vocal about that vision, what this was going to look like. You've said many times, if you can't recruit to Boulder, Colorado, you can't recruit. You've also said it's a 24/7 process, this recruiting. Talk about when you went out and you're walking into high schools and you're walking in the living rooms around the country, the response you were getting, and what is the, I guess, perception of Colorado football right now out there?
Yeah, I really believe if you can't recruit to Boulder, you can't recruit. This is a great place, and as we went out, myself and my staff, we went out on the road and to sell our program. The reception was strong because there's a lot of people out there, a lot of high school coaches, a lot of parents that remember when Colorado was at the very, very top of college football. And so they want to see what Colorado is going to do next. And as we laid out the vision, they saw it, and that's why these guys are coming.
What stands out in this class? I think 21 players, 10 offense, 10 defense, 1 special teams. You feel good about kind of how you met the needs of your roster?
Yeah, we were very intentional with this class in terms of, you know, who we needed to make us better at every position. And every one of these players is going to be an impact player for us. We've got great size, we got length, we have athleticism. But more importantly, these guys are high-character guys. They're accountable. They work with a sense of urgency, attention to detail, you know, and culture is important to these guys. And so all of their values align with ours, and so it was a great fit for all these guys.
You know, people are always going to ask about quarterbacks. I mean, that's the nature of the game, right?
Yeah.
So give us a thought about Brendan Lewis.
Yeah, Brendan Lewis, he can do it all.
Yeah.
And he's a really smart guy. He has command of their offense. He is a pocket passer. He's very, very accurate. And I believe the quarterback has to be your number one competitor, and he can do all that. And, you know, he's not bad running the ball as well.
Yeah, over 3,000 yards rushing during his high school career. It's not bad. I wonder, when you bring in a guy like Brendan Rice, and you come from a family like that, or those kind of bloodlines, or a Caleb Fourier, of course, had Buff connections. I'm wondering, you can't. Those guys are educated. They know what football's all about when you walk in to recruit a guy like that.
Yeah, they know what the football is all about. They know about the recruiting, and so I think all of those guys, they realize that we're very authentic. You know, we're going to shoot them straight. This is what we have to offer, and they wanted to be a part of it. But and I really believe pedigree is important. You know, when you see a guy and his dad, you know, played in the NFL, had a great career, you know, you got to look a little bit closer.
Sure, you bet. Big athletes as well. You know, I'll give you a little inside baseball comment about Mel here. So he first gets here a year ago, just about a year ago right now. And as I got to know Mel and talked to him, he looked at me one time and he said, "Mark, we're going to bring in big bodies, big physical bodies." And boy, you look at the offensive lineman and defensive lineman. Mel, they're enormous.
Yeah, football's a game for big people, you know, and you don't have to sacrifice athleticism or speed or quickness. And so all of the guys that we have in this class have those traits. They're big, they're long, you know, they're physical, They have great athleticism, initial quickness, balance and body control, everything you look for in big guys up front. And so we have to be able to win the battle of the trenches.
It's the first time we've had Mel here on a situation like this where I can ask you about this. So Laviska and KD opting to go. Give us a quick thought about those two jumping to the NFL early.
Yeah, obviously Laviska, I don't think that was a surprise to anyone. No. He did a great job. He had a great career here. And, he's going to be a high pick in the draft. And KD is an explosive player. He can do it all. He's a guy he's a wildcat guy. He works in the slot. He works outside, punt return, kick return. He's a very versatile athlete, and that's what the NFL is looking for.
So 2019 wraps up at 5-7, and I know your competitiveness. You would have loved to be preparing for a bowl game right now. It didn't work out that way. You were able to turn kind of the tide in this season, win 2 down the stretch over Stanford and Washington. Now you add this class to it. What makes you excited and optimistic moving forward?
Yeah, right now it's all about the future, and this class is a big part of it. All these guys are going to come in, and they're going to compete for playing time. We're going to play the best players, and I tell these guys every day: compete to play, compete to stay.
Yeah.
And all these guys that we've signed, they want to come in and they want to play right away and they want to win. This class that we have here, these guys are all in with the Buffs, and that's in total alignment with the guys on our campus now.
Right.
You can see the culture shift. You can see it change. You can see it during the season. They bought in. They started to have success, and they want more of it.
I loved as well. A number of these guys, as we talked about them and kind of glanced at their resumes, there's a lot of, 80% winning percentages, district championships, state championships over the last couple of weeks. This is a group that knows how to win as they come in here.
Yeah, that was very intentional. We want winners. We want guys that love football, that are passionate about the game, that understand that winning is important and it doesn't happen by accident. And there's no accident that these guys are in this class.
Yeah. Well, there might be some more news. We can't break that right now, but there might be some more news coming, right?
There might be a little bit more news. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, congratulations today. Outstanding job.
Yeah, thank you.
Head coach Mel Tucker. It's the early signing period of 2019. A wonderful class put together by Mel and his team. By the way, Mel's got a press conference coming up at 1 o'clock on these same streaming channels later on this afternoon. You can hear more questions and him talking more about this class as we wrap things up here from the Champion Center. What a day for Colorado. Got to make you excited. By the way, 303-49-BUFF, CUBuffs.com. Get those season tickets for 2020. You're going to love what Mel Tucker is building. Relentless effort here at the University of Colorado. As we wrap it up, I'm Voice of the Buffs, Mark Johnson. Right